Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into a topic that has been making waves across the economy, politics and everyday life. Donald Trump's tariffs and China's decision to ban rare mineral exports to the US. These two developments hasn't just headline news, they are creating ripple effects that have been felt in everything from the price of your weekly groceries to the cost of smartphones, electric cars and even military equipment. This is more than just a trade dispute, it is a situation that impacts businesses, workers and consumers alike. So what's really going on? How did we get here? What is the bigger picture and how are people reacting to these changes? Today we are breaking it all down. We will talk about the rising cost of goods, how China's rare mineral ban is affecting key industries and what this all means for the future. If you have noticed that things seems to cost more lately or heard about disturbance in tech and energy industries, this is likely why. These policies and counter moves aren't just about trade, they are about power, strategy and economic influence on a global scale. Whether you are a business owner trying to navigate higher production costs, a consumer feeling the squeeze of rising prices, or someone just trying to make sense of these international headlines, stick around. By the end of this video, you will have a clearer picture of how these issues connect and why they matter so much. So grab a coffee, settle in, and let's get into it.
I'm voting for the man that's going to take America back, baby. Donald J. Trump, man.
What's one of your biggest issues?
Probably going to be inflation, because I sell T-shirts and all that stuff.
Your T-shirts are made in the USA?
No, my blanks, no. See, that's the thing Trump's talking about. If we tax them, hit tariffs, the same item they're making over there will cost the same to make over here.
We pay the tariffs.
Well, the companies pay the tariffs, not us.
China doesn't pay the tariffs. We do when they come in.
No, it doesn't work like that.
Like if I'm buying 1,000 shirts from China and there's a tariff on it, I'm paying the tariff.
Well, no, whoever's getting it imported in is going to pay the tariffs.
Yeah. I'm the business owner. I'm paying the tariff. China doesn't pay it. I pay for it.
Well,
Like if I'm the business owner and I buy 1,000 shirts,
I see what you're saying.
China's not Jolly. So I'm trying to
So who
explain.
pays the tariff?
They're paying the tariff.
Do you think that? Do you believe that?
Because I was trying to say, because I sell merch as well.
I sell you something for $10, right? You're going to sell it to him for $20.
Exactly.
But then I make you pay me $15 for it. Are you still going to sell it to him for $20?
Am I going to sell it to him for 20?
If I raise the price $5.
Oh, it's going to have to go up.
Right. So
Yeah, the consumer foots the bill.
Have a good day.
90% of these tariffs will impact bottom of our economic chain, meaning lower wage workers that pay over half of these taxes. So this is a regressive tax that will have profound impact on progress and momentum that we're starting to enjoy in the tentpole of the American economy. $3.89 trillion a year economy. There's no economic growth in America without the success and the vibrancy of this region and the state of California.
This is major breaking news, and this is devastating news on so many levels. I'm not even sure the full implications. China has banned the import of antimony, germanium, and gallium to the United States, among other things, rare earth. Why is this such a problem? Well, because China produces about 86% of all rare earth. Rare earth is used for things like computer chips, defense contractors in the United States. They produce 98% of the global market on germanium, about 60% on gallium, and about 50% on antimony. So you can understand that if we don't have these materials in the United States, we're in trouble. This was the major concern. This was my major concern. This has been the Biden administration's major concern. One of the first things they did when they came into office was put together a commission to figure out where they're going to source it from. Because you can imagine, if we can't build advanced weaponry, what's our advantage over China? What's our advantage to protect Taiwan in the event that China actually attacks? This is not good news. This indicates that China is prepping to take Taiwan. This is step one. I'll keep you guys updated when I know more about how this is going to affect the US market in various different ways. Right now, be honest with you, I don't know. This is huge.
We have some major breaking news. Goldman Sachs just confirmed that if Donald Trump implements his proposed tariffs, inflation would go up dramatically. On Monday, Donald Trump said that he would impose an additional 10% tariffs on goods coming from China and a 25% tariff for Canada and Mexico. The chief economist at Goldman Sachs said in a note that the proposed levies would result in a notable increase for consumer prices in the United States. They wrote, quote, using our rule of thumb that every 1 percentage point increase in the effective tariff rate would raise core PCE prices by 0.1%. We estimate that the proposed tariff increases would boost core PCE prices by 0.9% if implemented. Now, PCE refers to the Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, which is the preferred inflation reading of the Federal Reserve. It's also important to note that these three countries in question account for 43% of U.S. good imports, and the tariffs would result in slightly less than $300 billion in revenue annually. But again, we, the American people, would be paying that $300 billion tax hike. So if we import 43% of our goods from these three countries, almost half of the products that you buy would raise in prices because of Donald Trump. Once again, this is what Trump supporters voted for: price hikes and trade wars.
If you put tariffs on China, prices will go up. Donald Trump did exactly that. Manufacturing came back and prices went down for American citizens.
This is not true. After the series of tariffs passed in 2018, U.S. consumer prices for affected goods rose. Boom, boom, and boom. This is in contrast to the Chinese and non-Chinese goods that were not affected by the tariffs. And then China responded with retaliatory tariffs, and that affected our export prices. American producers and farmers had to lower their selling price to China in order to compete. Source: after doing a little bit of math and science, they find that tariffs exhibited nearly complete pass-through to the consumer. The incidence of the tariff lies largely with the United States. This is not an isolated result. Another paper here looked at the large 20% tariff placed on all imported washing machines. They found that the price of washers and dryers rose after the tariff. That's the red and blue line. And this is in comparison with other large appliances which did not see a price rise, the refrigerators in green and dishwashers in yellow. Some might be saying, hey, I'll pay those prices if it means saving U.S. jobs. Okay, I'm sympathetic to that goal, but is this the best way to do that? Washing machines became more expensive, and that resulted with a total cost to consumers of $1.5 billion every year. We can divide that by the number of domestic jobs that might have been saved, and we find a cost of roughly $900,000 per job. Now, where did that money go? Not to the workers. They were making a salary a tenth of that. It mostly just vanishes into thin air. Less trade means less efficiency. Tariffs gum up our production processes. Throwing a wrench into the machine to save a mechanic's job is not a path to sustainable prosperity. In fact, once we take into account all the effects of the retaliatory tariffs, this paper finds that U.S. manufacturing experiences reduction in employment and increases in producer prices. And you can see the picture here. Less employment and higher prices. A recent paper looked at the counties that were affected by the trade war. Protectionist tariffs didn't save any jobs, and then the retaliatory tariffs had a clear negative employment impact. There's a reason why economists from all different political backgrounds agree that tariffs are borne by the consumers.
Are you thinking about stocking up before Trump's tariffs drive up the price? Here are some everyday items that might be in danger of higher prices. So if you've noticed the price of things going up lately, you might want to brace yourself for even higher costs. President-elect Donald Trump has proposed a new set of tariffs that could affect everything from electronics to food. But what exactly are tariffs, and how will they impact your wallet? Let's break it down. Simply put, a tariff is a tax on imported goods. When goods come into the United States from another country, the government charges a tariff to make them more expensive. This is meant to encourage people to buy goods made in the United States instead, which does help local businesses but can make imported items cost more for consumers. Trump has proposed a broad tariff plan that includes a 10 to 20% tariff on all imported goods from other countries, a 60% to 100% tariff on goods imported from China. These tariffs are part of his strategy to reduce the U.S. trade deficit and encourage companies to bring more production back to the United States. States. The tariffs would impact a wide variety of products, including many everyday items that you might use. Here's a breakdown by category to help you better understand. Electronics, such as gaming laptops, prices could increase by up to 45%. If you're thinking of buying one soon, it could go from $1,000 to $1,450. Gaming consoles, expect a 40% price increase as many of the consoles are made in China. Monitors, prices could rise by about 31%. Clothing and textiles are included too. Clothes and shoes. Many clothing brands import from overseas, and these tariffs could cause prices to go up by 10% to 25%. Jeans, t-shirts, and sneakers, popular items in everyday clothing, could get more expensive. Household goods like furniture that is imported could see a price hike of up to 20%. Appliances, so items like refrigerators, washing machines, and microwaves may also rise in price due to higher tariffs on metals and electronic components. Food and beverages imported. If you're a fan of exotic fruits or snacks from abroad, be prepared for price increases due to tariffs on imports, especially if the goods are coming from China. So canned foods and beverages are included as well. Imported beverages and canned food might also cost more. Depending on the item, consumers can see prices increase anywhere from 10% to 45%. For electronics like gaming laptops and consoles, this means a jump in price by hundreds of dollars. For everyday goods like clothing and household items, expect a smaller increase, but still noticeable. At first glance, tariffs may seem like a way to bring more money into the United States, but they also have a downside. With higher tariffs, consumers will face higher prices on many products. For the average family, this could mean paying more for things that they need and want, whether it's a new laptop, some fresh fruit, or even a new pair of shoes. The extra cost could add up quickly, making it harder for working class families to budget and save. And here's where the irony comes in, right? Many people voted for President-elect Trump in the hopes of lowering prices on everyday items. But with these proposed tariffs, those same voters might soon find themselves paying way more for the very products that they rely on. The promise of lower costs might seem to be backfiring, as the tariffs could have the opposite effect and leave many consumers with higher bills. So, now that you know what could go up in price.
So yeah, if this tariff goes through, yes, everything will become more expensive, but then you're also not going to have like 90% of the products that you have today. So I don't think people realize just how incredibly fucked up the whole tariff thing will be if it goes into place. Like, and again, like, I'm a small business owner and I have my products manufactured in China. It is not because I want to have them manufactured in China. It is because there is literally no manufacturer that can make my products here in the United States. And there won't be for a long time. Like, Trump has proposed this 60% tariff on all goods imported from China. First of all, that's like everything that's on Amazon. Everything. And basically everything at like Target, Walmart, like everywhere. Okay. But it's not what is missing from this conversation is that manufacturers will just choose to not make things. Okay. So, and I mean, believe me, I am all about like lowering consumerism, but a lot of those things are going to be durable goods that like you need and would normally have. And now instead of having like 10 choices, you're going to have like one choice. So for example, like, a lot of people are saying, oh, okay, well, they're just going to, it's a 60% tariff that the importer, which would be the person like me selling it, I would just increase my prices by 60%. So like, first of all, I wouldn't do that, right? I mean, that would be like a $60 sippy. No, it's not a $60 sippy cup, but like it's expensive and not fair for my customers, right? What many manufacturers are going to choose to do, they're just going to choose to not make it. Trump's whole thing is that, he wants to punish China, but he also wants to really push American manufacturing. Amazing. I love that. But I can tell you, America doesn't have like manufacturing like up and ready to go. It doesn't, right? Maybe it did in like the 70s, but starting out in the 80s and up until today, there has been a significant decline. Sure, there are certain industries where they're still manufacturing things, but it is not like it is in China, where they literally have huge industrial cities, right? Where their entire, like, that is their entire, like, economy. And they've been building that for decades, right? Where you can go and say, I want to build the sippy cup from start to finish, and they will get every single piece made for you to your specification and have it shipped to you and everything, right? And so, for example, I have been looking for years, even before I started even making my sippy cups, to be made here in the United States. And I can tell you, so my sippy cups are made out of borosilicate glass, which is similar to Pyrex. It's much more heat resistant. There is not one borosilicate glass drinkware manufacturer. The only borosilicate glass that is made in the United States is for like traffic lights and like laboratory equipment. Yeah. And I've been checking a lot, all the time. Now I can try and make something out of tempered glass, but for my purposes, it's not going to be as good, durable, like not as good for the end product. And check this out. My cups are covered in like a silicone sleeve, right? And it has a little silicone straw on the top, right? So if I were to find a manufacturer for my borosilicate glasses, right, I would still need to find a different manufacturer for that outer silicone sleeve and the inner straw, right? Like this is an example, like this is not my cup, but like this is an example. So like you would have to find a different manufacturer in the United States for every single component. They wouldn't be able to put that all together for you. Yeah. And that would be extremely expensive. It would be like a $200 sippy cup if it were made here in the United States in regards to like where we are now with our manufacturing capability. And so imagine like imagine like Target, for example, that has like tons of different collections like Hearth and Home and like what is a Good and Gather, like they have like the different collections. They're just going to not make tons of assortment. They're just going to make like one from like every single, maybe not even one. They're just going to stop selling shit. And believe me, I believe that companies sell too much shit, but some of that stuff you actually need, right? And you will be forced to buy shit that is subpar. You will be forced to buy shit that you don't really want, but maybe you just need a stapler instead of having like 10 different variations with different specific needs, and qualities from them. You will have one, and that one is going to be really expensive. Yeah, so it's not going to necessarily drive American manufacturing. And if manufacturers ever want to get to where China is in regards to their, their capabilities, it's going to take like 20 years. It takes a lot of money, a lot of investment. So, and again, I could build my own factory here in the United States, but I need like $10 million of like VC, money. And I don't want that. I don't want to get outside investors, VC funding, and then completely water down my product. I just think a lot of people aren't considering what this is actually going to look like, which is fucking nuts.
I just seen a video of a girl asking, why are you mad? Because the price of food is going to go down? The price of gas is going to go down? So why are you really mad? Ma'am, do you know what a tariff is? Do you know what tariffs are? I'll tell you. I'll give you a crash course. A tariff is something that the importer has to pay when they're increasing the price of imported goods. So he's proposing that tariffs go up 30 to 50% on goods from China and other major companies that export or import goods to the United States. So basically, if we get something from China, then we're going to have to pay 30 to 50% more in cost. That cost is embedded into the products that you buy. So if, let's say, for example, you're getting some shoes from China, all right, shoes. You're going to pay 30 to 50% more on the tariff so that the U.S. Department of Treasury, it doesn't impact them. It's going to come out of the pockets of the consumers. And that goes for fruits, furniture, clothing, cars, you name it. If the United States doesn't make it, if we have to import it from another country, then we're going to pay on that tariff. Did you not understand that? So no, inflation's actually going to get a hell of a lot higher. It's going to get it's going up. Prices are going to go up. Prices are going to go up exponentially because you pay on tariffs. The importing country pays on it. We're the importing country for a lot of the shit that we have coming into the United States. Can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. Like, I don't understand what's not clicking, Steven.
Let's take a deep dive into Trump's tariffs and China rare mineral export ban, two interconnected moves that are reshaping the global economic landscape. These developments are not just isolated trend decisions, they are part of a much larger narrative about power, dependency, and strategy on the world stage. Tariffs in theory are designed to protect domestic industries by taxing imported goods, making them more expensive and less competitive compared to homegrown products. Trump's tariffs were introduced with the intention of leveling the playing field, particularly against China, whose trade practices were often criticized as unfair. But here's the catch, tariffs doesn't operate in a vacuum. When you impose tariffs, the cost often gets passed down to the consumer. For example, when a 25% tariff was slapped on steel and aluminum imports, it didn't just hurt foreign suppliers. US manufacturers relying on these materials faced higher costs, and they had to either absorb those costs or pass them on to consumers. Now let's look at the practical effects of these tariffs. Consumer goods. Everyday products like smartphones, laptops, televisions, and appliances are all becoming more expensive. Many of these items are either made in China or rely on Chinese components. Tariffs have made importing these goods costlier, and companies like Apple and other tech giants have hinted that these costs will be reflected in their product prices. Groceries. Tariffs on agricultural goods have also increased food prices. For example, fruits and vegetables imported from Mexico or China now come with a higher price tax, affecting families already struggling with inflation. Automobiles. The steel and aluminum tariffs, as well as those on automotive parts, have led to increased production costs for automakers, translating into higher car prices. Now let's shift to Chinese response, banning the export of rare minerals to the US. This move is particularly significant because rare earth minerals are the backbone of modern technology and industry. To give you some context, rare earths are essential for manufacturing high-tech products like smartphones and computers. Everything from your iPhone to your gaming console relies on rare earth components. Electric vehicles. Motors and batteries for electric vehicles require these minerals. Renewable energy. Wind turbines and solar panels use rare earths to enhance their efficiency. Defense. The US military depends on rare earths for radar systems, fighter jets, and other advanced weaponry. China dominates global production of rare earths, accounting for over 80% of the supply. By banning export to the US, they have essentially weaponized their control over a resource critical to key industries. This puts enormous pressure on US companies that depend on these minerals and highlights American vulnerability in this area. When you put these two developments together, Trump's tariffs and China rare mineral ban, it paints a picture of escalating tensions and mutual retaliation. On one side, these tariffs are increasing costs for American businesses and consumers. On the other, China's export ban is disrupting supply chains and creating shortage in critical industries. For example, the tech industry. Companies like Apple, Tesla, and Intel are finding it harder to source the materials they need. This not only raises costs but could also lead to production delays, forcing companies to either hike prices or cut back on innovation. Green energy. The push for renewable energy could slow down significantly, with rare earths in short supply. Projects involving wind turbines, solar panels, and electric vehicles are likely to face setbacks, potentially delaying the transition to cleaner energy. Defense and security. For the US military, the shortage of rare earths is a potential national security risk. It underscores American dependency on China for critical resources, which could have long-term strategy implications. Reactions to this development have been mixed and often polarized. Consumers, many are frustrated by the rising prices, from social media posts to news interviews. You can see the anger and confusion as people struggle to keep up with the cost of living. The impact is particularly harsh on low and middle income families who spend a larger share of their income on basic goods. Businesses, US manufacturers, especially small and medium-sized enterprises, are grappling with the higher production costs. Some are relocating their supply chains, but this is neither quick nor easy. Others are passing the cost on to consumers, leading to further price increases. Farmers. US farmers, already hit by retaliatory tariffs from China on agricultural goods, are now facing shrinking export markets. For many, this feels like a double blow with little relief in sight. Politicians and economists. Politicians are divided along party lines. Supporters of the tariffs argue that they are necessary to challenge China's trade practice and protect American jobs. Critics, however, see them as a reckless policy that's backfiring by hurting consumers and damaging international relationships. What we are seeing here is more than just a trade war. It's a battle for economic supremacy between the two largest economies in the world. Both Trump's tariffs and China's rare mineral export ban are strategic moves in the larger struggles, but the question is, who is winning? For the US, these challenges underscore the need to reduce reliance on Chinese imports. This means investing in domestic manufacturing, building rare earths mining capabilities, and diversifying supply chains. However, these long-term solutions that won't solve immediate problems. For China, the ban is a reminder of its significant leverage in global supply chains. However, overplaying this card could push countries like the US to accelerate effort to find alternatives, ultimately weakening Chinese position in the long run. In the short term, the biggest loser in this trade standoff are everyday people. Higher prices, supply chain distribution, and economic uncertainty are taking a toll on consumers and businesses alike. But what do you think? Are Trump's tariffs and China rare mineral export ban justified, or are they creating more problems than they solve? And how do you see this playing out in the long run? Let's continue the conversation. These are critical issues that affect all of us, and it's to stay informed and engaged. Thank you for watching, and let's continue this conversation in the comments below. Let us share our thoughts and perspective with one another. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay updated on this story and more. I will see you in the next video.